Hello, everyone. Absolute pleasure today to welcome to Icon Elevate my very good friend, Professor Jeff Dunn. Pretty hard to put a title to Jeff. He's had so many roles. He holds so many very, very important positions globally and has done so much in his career as a, Jeff, I think if I was to introduce you, it's an advocate for better cancer services globally. So absolute honour for you to join us today. Professor Jeff Dunn, thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
Oh, Mark, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the introduction. First up, greetings to the Icon crew.
Good on you, Jeff.
I hold Icon in a very fun place in my heart. It's a terrific organisation.
Well, thank you. And as you know, we've got this relationship that spans back from the moment you opened our first radiation oncology facility at Toowoomba in 2007.
And I remember it well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeff, I've got a few questions I was going to ask you. I hope you'd share with the broader audience. One of the first ones is your current role with the Union of International Cancer Control, an organisation you've had such a long history with and relationship with. And then I guess why a partnership with someone like ourselves, Icon and the UICC, is important. So really a two-phase question.
Yeah, sure. So, well, it's been my great pleasure to have been associated with the UICC, the Union for International Cancer Control, since the early 90s. I know that dates me a little, Mark, and but since the early 90s. And, you know, it's been a pleasure for me to witness the growth and change and development of the UICC, of course, but also about how we approach cancer control, both here nationally in Australia, but around the world. And the UICC is a terrific organisation, I must say. And Icon, right up front, have been leaders in terms of supporting that work globally, in terms of participation and financially, and encouraging others to do so as well. So I put up front, that has been an important part of the UICC's partnership program. Look, for me personally, about where we are and the relationship with Icon, I don't think it's ever been more important for us to recognise that cancer control is going to be a partnership, between private, public, community-based organisations. We're never going to get anywhere unless we all work together. And the UICC, the first word is about union. And we're delighted that Icon's a part of the union, because we need to be able to demonstrate how collectively we can all work together to get better outcomes for patients around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the UICC does such important work. And you've been a leader. You're president-elect. You're going to be the president as we move forward. So I'm really looking forward to working with you in that capacity, which brings me to my next question. You have worn a lot of hats over your career. When I first met you, the CEO of Cancer Council Queensland. You've also done me the great honour of being a judge for the Middleton Scholarship each year, which I'm deeply indebted for you for being part of that process. You've had this amazing career. What have been some of the career highlights, Jeff?
Well, first up, can I say that thank you for getting me involved as a judge in the Middleton Scholarship. I enjoy that. That's an annual highlight. Terrific people. It's always a challenge, I must say. While it's enjoyable, it's tough. I've got to say to you, it's enjoyable, tough. Look, I've been fortunate to have many career highlights, and it's been great. As a CEO and as a researcher and an advocate, as you said. And look, there are some public ones, and you've mentioned President-elect of the UICC. For me, that is a highlight, and I take up the presidency in October. Certainly, being awarded or being appointed an officer in the Order of Australia, a wonderful highlight. And I'm still humbled by that. But through it all, Mark, the highlight is really just watching the progress. The way cancer control has evolved, looking at survival rates improve, looking at our campaigns improve, looking at general improvements around the world. Not to say that there's still not a lot of work to be done, and of course there is. But an important highlight for me is just watching progress. and in a little tiny way, helping that progress along, working with people like yourselves and other member organisations at the UICC and an organisation certainly around Australia.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jeff. As we've had a really, I guess, as cancer care providers, cancer care advocates, cancer care professionals, been a tough couple of years with a global pandemic, notwithstanding everything else we've faced in Australia as well, starting with bushfires. Now we've had horrific floods in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. With all of those things going on, what do you think is the most critical area of need for cancer care? Because all of those things impact on cancer care. That's the important thing we need to focus on. How do we come back from the challenges of the last couple of years, Jeff, and I guess make sure that no one's getting left behind?
Well, a terrific question. And you know what? Sadly, there's no easy answer, is there? And it's going to require effort. Look, right up front, I think we've got to accept that there's a coordination issue. We must coordinate our planning to ensure that we're all on the same page. And this is where ICON's so important once again, and it's a role the UICC is taking. But we've got to coordinate our planning, understand what each of our roles are and who's doing what to get coverage, to identify gaps and be clear about how we're going to address those. I think a second thing we need to do is recognise that, while all these other things are going on, and you've mentioned that, you use that phrase, leave no one behind, that we need to understand that survivorship's important. There are people out there who've been diagnosed, treated, and living with cancer more so than ever before. There's more people surviving this disease because of the great work of our clinicians and healthcare workers and health providers. That survivorship's critical, evidence-based support for people, because a cancer diagnosis and treatment is a major life threat, a challenge, and to overlay everything else on top of that has made it difficult. So certainly about survivorship. And I think finally we've just got to make sure that, there's cooperation at a policy level, governments, service providers, agencies, communities, get together and agree in productive, collaborative ways about how best to address, the cancer future we face. And it has changed. How do we address that? And I think these are the sorts of things. Our health professionals are doing a great job, but it's providing environments and frameworks for them to let them get on with their work in the most productive and most efficient ways. These are the sorts of things I think we need to focus on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jeff, as the president-elect of the UICC, you have a unique position. That is the upper echelon of cancer control globally. Is there a message that you would send not only to the team at ICON, who are obviously all watching this, but more broadly to cancer care professionals around the world? And if there's one thing we've seen over the global pandemic, it's the dedication of those people to help others. Is there a message you would send from the UICC to those people?
Well, look, I think you're right. I mean, the dedication has been on display and it's remarkable. And again, to each and every one of you at ICON, thank you. Because in other roles I have, not just as, on the board of the UICC, it's like, patients here in this country, you make a difference. And also, Mark might be aware, I was involved in opening the annual Cancer Congress in China with Kaka and the team.
Yes.
And you're making a difference.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, so the message really is, look, each and every one of us have a role to play. Whether you're a policymaker, a government, a fundraiser, a radiation therapist, an oncologist, a nurse, each and every one of us has a role to play. Please understand that. And each and every role is important. More than anything, we need all of us to come to the table, bringing the best to those roles on a daily basis. And things will improve. I've got to say again, from a UICC point of view, part of what we try and do is look for exemplar organisations to show how partnerships make a difference. And again, I know Mark and I are old friends, and I'm not blowing smoke, but again, ICON is front and centre when it comes to us, going out there and demonstrating how private organisations have a critical role to play, and modelling to others. And so on an individual level, thank you, and we appreciate it. And on an organisational level for ICON, likewise.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jeff. Very kind words. And we do pride ourselves. Healthcare is about partnership. It's about relationships. That's what it's all about. And you're quite right. It's called Union of International Cancer Control for a reason. And I think that's a really powerful message. Jeff, on ICON Elevate, we're now doing these other sort of questions, which we call rapid fire questions. So I'd like to throw a few things at you if I could, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
What book would you recommend I read? Is there any book that you're reading at the moment that is fascinating?
Good morning.
Yeah. I didn't even set you up. I didn't even set you up with that one, but that's a great book. No,
listen, I recommend it to everyone. Fantastic, and I was so pleased to be at the launch.
Yeah, thank you.
But look, so what book? Do you know what? Mark Twain said, "A classic is something everyone wants to read. Everyone wants to have read, but nobody will read." I might read a classic. Pick a classic. You know, pick, and just make yourself read it. You know, 1984, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, Moby Dick. Read a classic.
Yeah, you're speaking my language, Jeff. Read the classics. There's so much to be learned from the classics. Who's inspired you to be your best across your life?
Do you know, there's been many. But okay, Jimmy Holland. Dr. Jimmy Holland, psychiatrist in New York. She passed away Christmas Eve, sadly, a few years back. But Jimmy Holland she was at Memorial Sloan Kettering. She founded the modern science, really, of psycho-oncology. And it was Jimmy that often said to me, you know, what we're about, Jeff, is about the science of care. And I've always remembered that quote. I hold her in great adoration. And Jimmy Holland, may she rest in peace, she made a difference. And she inspires me.
Oh, what a great answer. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this will then go and Google that lady and understand exactly what you mean. So thank you so much. Jeff, this one's going to date you a little bit. The first music album, and I'm sure it was on vinyl, that you bought with your own money.
That's probably embarrassing. Look, my recollection is that it was Sherbet.
Oh, wow. How's that?
Yes. Wow, geez, you're on song today. And in fact, I bought it. I think it was the first. And I think I bought it in advance of going to my first ever concert.
Wow.
Which was Brisbane's Festival Hall, while it was still standing in 1974. And it was, of course, Sherbet. My love affair with Sherbet didn't last very long, I confess. But at the time, I think
they were big. They were big.
They were big in the 70s.
They were very, very popular. Jeff, I've got one more question for you. Best way for Jeff Dunn to relax. You've got a very, very busy life. You are involved around the clock. You know, global time zones make it hard to do all these global roles that you're doing. What does Jeff Dunn do to relax?
Well, you know, so we live out now in the scenic rim, just outside Brisbane, on a few acres. And I've got cows. I love them. And I've got a bull, an Aussie low-line bull called Rungu. And I get out there and I chase the bull around. We have a great time.
Oh, wow. Well, it is a great switch off and allows you to sort of relax, and is so different to what you do in your working life. So well done. Thank you.
Yeah. Cows, I find cows, they're very, well, they're not always serene, but often they're serene. Anyway, they relax me. They don't talk back.
No, that's right. Hey, great answer. Jeff, I want to thank you so much for joining us on ICON Elevator. You're always so generous with your time. I want to congratulate you on an amazing career thus far. You inspire me and you inspire the team at ICON. You do so much for others and you are always so generous with your time. So thank you for being a guest on ICON Elevate.
Mark, honestly, it is my pleasure. And to you and the team at ICON, thank you and keep up that terrific work.
Thanks, Jeff.